Grahame.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker, and it's an honour and a privilege to speak in this important debate. And I would like to particularly recognise the expertise of many members from the Transport Select Committee, on which I've got the honour to serve at the moment. Listening to the debate and wishing to participate in it, I can't help feeling a sense of déjà vu. You know, the shortcomings of privatisation and the franchising process can be demonstrated by the private contractors, the private operators that are running the East Coast Main Line. I was kind of slightly amused when the Honourable Member, former Rail Minister for Wimbledon, who was very affable, was talking about the golden age of privatisation and saying, how wonderful the new rolling stock was. Well, I just checked the age of something of the rolling stock on the East Coast Main Line, and the 125 diesels, the HST, were actually introduced in 1976, and the 225s that are the mainstay in 1989, and the Pacer trains that we have on the Northern Rail franchise in 1984. So let's have a sense of realism. And this is the third occasion in a decade the government have had to accept back the keys to a failed East Coast franchise. But failure once, you can excuse it. Twice is unfortunate. But the third time, that really is a cause for censure and for reflection, and demonstrates the government's desire to privatise the East Coast Main Line. It is nothing more than an adherence to blind political ideology. It's ironic that as a leading Brexiteer and staunch privateer, it's now the Transport Secretary who would allow our railways to be run by any state-owned company except the British state. The Right Honourable Member for Epsom and Ewell might like to dust off an old phrase and use it in this context, take back control. The Minister would be in good company, as numerous surveys of the public show that 70% support calls for the railways to be publicly owned, run in the public interest and not as a cash cow for private operators. And can I remind the House, Mr Deputy Speaker, in public ownership, East Coast Main Line returned over £1 billion to the Treasury to be used either to upgrade the rail service or for vital public services. And I don't believe the Minister has adequately explained how, when in 2015 we were told that re-privatising the East Coast Main Line represented best value for commuters and taxpayers, and how that can be reconciled with a decision to bail out Virgin Stagecoach to the tune of £2 billion. Why doesn't the government hold these companies to their contractual commitments? Noble Lord Adonis, who I don't always see eye to eye to, gave some interesting evidence to the Transport Committee, and he questioned why it is acceptable for corporate entities to walk away from their commitment to us, the taxpayer, to my constituents and to the government. We really should be taking a harder line with these private train operating companies. We should be blocking companies that have corporate structures and base themselves in tax havens bidding on public contracts. The decision to overbid on the contract is simply corporate irresponsibility, and I feel the taxpayer is being fleeced time and time again.